Now here's something that is found in the cerebellum. They have, has Purkinje cells.
And are these Purkinje cells related to the Purkinje fibers in the heart?
No, but very good association. But now, here's the cool thing about that. You're going to see that this area of the brain can affect the heart. Not control it, but affect it. Nothing is going to control the heart except the heart. The only thing that anything else about our body can do is affect the heart. Purkinje cells are huge. When we think of neurons, we think of something that's really not very big, okay? But these cells are large, and in your textbook, there is a picture of the dendrites that come off of this thing, and it is really, I mean, it's like, okay, you got this little itty bitty cell body, and then like this huge tree of the dendrites. Now look at this. Travel to deep nuclei. Synapse on neurons that have fibers going to the brain stem. So these huge, just think of all these cells, and they get to have a connection to the brain stem. The brain stem has the connection to the primitive functions of the body, and the brain stem has a connection to the cerebrum. That tells me that the cerebellum's functions, which for a lot of the functions of the cerebellum, it is to help us maintain posture, coordination, some of those things, okay? That has the effect to the brainstem, to the brain, which means the brain, to the cerebrum, to the back of the brainstem, back to the cerebellum. Once again, everything's connected. So now, if we begin to look, since we have the brain now, you guys now know it's more than just the cerebrum. Got the cerebellum, we've got the brain stem, and if we take our brain, if I take my brain, and I look at that right there, we know that is our pituitary gland, right? Now, if I want to take my brain and open it like a book, okay? Hopefully at this point you guys now know cerebrum, my corpus callosum, my cerebellum. They're trying to show me the tree right here, okay? If I look, they're trying to show me midbrain, pons, medulla, leading to my spinal cord, okay? Now, this area right in here, okay, where I've got the connection to my pituitary gland, this is the part that has remained primitive completely, utterly, totally primitive from day one of egg meeting sperm.
And what is that spot?
This is my diencephalon.
Okay. The part that you're pointing to?
Yes. Well, it's kind of hard to point to on our structures, but it's going to be an area throughout here, okay, where it looks like we've got this little dip here under the corpus callosum, okay? This is my diencephalon. So, if I were to hold my brain up, okay, and see how they're trying to show this, like here, swinging down to the pituitary gland? That's what I'm looking at right here. And this, I'm looking at this in this area, right here. Okay, can everybody kind of see what I'm pointing to up here, back there? Okay, so if, and follow my structure, like I have it there, okay? See how it's kind of doing this number? They're looking at this area right here, okay? All right. So if you think about that little structure, like they got it there, this is what you're trying to do. Okay. Match it up to the slide. Where it's kind of doing the little structure like that. Doing that. Okay. Match it to the slide.
And that's called the forebrain or the diencephalon? So this is the diencephalon.
It's going to be representative. Okay? So, now, looking at this, very primitive. Okay? So if I'm looking at this area, that's what's in there. What? Look at that. Okay, so I have an intermediate mass, the little bump, okay, that's kind of being that little bump right there, okay, which would be my region around it of my thalamus. Do you remember what we said the thalamus was? What was my thalamus? My relay center. Look at it, guys. My thalamus, here's my midbrain, here's my cerebellum, here's my cerebrum. If information has got to come up my spinal cord and come in this way, bada bing, bada boom, it's kind of hitting like right there in the thalamus. Thalamus is like the train station. Okay, these are my tracks carrying the train of sensory information. Okay, so here are my information, choo, 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 coming in. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Okay, and it gets to the thalamus, and that's my train station, and all that sensory information is like, well, this is my stop. Where's my connecting train? And that's what the thalamus is going to do. The thalamus is going to be where they pick up their connection and go to the area of the brain where it's supposed to go. I just came up with that. Aren't y'all proud of me?
I know, that's very good.
Okay? I mean...
So, can that get damaged? Like, is that, like, if that got damaged, would you just be done for, pretty much?
Pretty much. Not really done for. The information that comes in, it just might go to a wrong area of the brain, and maybe you could hear color, for example. Just saying.
Okay.
So if you think of some sensory, maybe you could smell of touch. You know what I'm saying? Kind of gets mixed up. Okay? So, now, comes in, and in this area, got my thalamus. Well, if it is my subthalamus, that would be a region just below. The epithalamus, kind of towards the back of the thalamus, and ta-da! The hypothalamus, the area that is going to have a direct connection to my pituitary gland. This is going to come back to bite us big time. I need you guys to remember this. Okay? I need you to remember this structure, because we're going to cover the endocrine system, and it's going to come right back to this right here. So, wow, holy cow, man, my thalamus medial nucleolus, lateral posterior nucleus, I'm sorry, I said nucleolus, nucleus, lateral dorsal nucleus, pulvinar, lateral geniculate, ventral posterior, ventral lateral. Seriously. I would not ask you that.
Okay, good.
Okay? What do you think, however, this structure is trying to show you?
Complex.
How much stuff in a small space?
Every one of these has the term nucleus associated with it. What has that told us to this point?
It's interconnected.
I got interconnected, and I got dense cell bodies. Okay? Now think about this for a second. Lateral, ventral, anterior, inter. If I said that all of this sensory information had to come up to this area, what am I letting you know about regions of the body being picked up? Lateral, ventral, posterior, anterior. What is it telling you?
Location.
And do I have pretty much all sides of the body covered right here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Okay? Now look at my hypothalamus. The hypothalamus. Paraventricular, preoptic, anterior, supraoptic, suprachiasmatic, optic chiasm. My pituitary gland, infundibulum, ventromedial, a mammillary body, posterior nucleus, dorsomedial, a lateral. Anything missing that could be covered from the body? I don't think so either. Now, there was a movie, I know, here I go again, right? That there was this museum, and the artifact that got brought in, it was some kind of, little alien monster in it, and it got loose, of course, in the museum. And everybody that it was killing, it was stealing their, when I saw the movie way back then, I thought, oh, damn, I hadn't learned anything about a hypothalamus, okay? But the little alien thing was like ripping the hypothalamus out of everybody's heads and eating it. Okay? And I'm just like, okay, whatever. You know, it's a cool movie. Heads are getting ripped off, that sort of thing. You know? And so I'm like looking at it. Well, see, now I can't talk about this and not think about that movie because of now knowing what the hypothalamus does. Okay? And I'm like, well, no wonder the alien wanted it. Okay? So, I said that there are two systems that are going to control the body. The nervous system and my endocrine system. This right here, my hypothalamus is going to control the endocrine system.